In 1997, deep in the jungles of northern Laos, a group of surveyors searching for unexploded ordnance stumbled upon something that shouldn't have been there. Hidden beneath centuries of vines and mist was a stone structure, massive, angular, untouched by time. It wasn't on any map. Not on satellite scans. Not in the archives of the French colonial explorers who mapped every temple in Indochina. It was simply absent. The lead surveyor, Captain Raymond Holt, thought it was another forgotten shrine, one of thousands scattered across the region. But when his team brushed away the overgrowth, they found the carvings, scenes not of gods or monks, but of soldiers. Men in armor, holding spears and rifles side by side, helicopters carved next to elephants. And at the temple's gate, an inscription in two languages, ancient Khmer and broken English. The war that does not end. The temple was unlike anything archaeologists had ever seen. Its stones vibrated faintly when touched, like a heartbeat buried beneath the earth. And when night fell, the jungle went silent. Not a single insect dared to sing. When experts from Vientiane arrived days later, they noticed something impossible. Half the structure was built in the 12th century, the era of the Khmer Empire. The other half used modern concrete and steel, mixed with rebar of American origin. It was as if two worlds, medieval and modern, had been fused by force. Inside, the walls told stories through carvings. Ancient warriors fighting soldiers in jungle helmets. Helicopters raining fire upon chariots. Figures with no faces standing between them, like spirits of the dead refusing to choose a side. But the most chilling find was a sealed chamber deep within. On the floor, written in red pigment, were names, over 200 of them. Half were in Sanskrit, half in English, and one name stood out: Lieutenant Harold Beckett, U.S. Army, 1969. Beckett had vanished during an operation near the Ho Chi Minh Trail, declared Mia, but somehow, his name had been written here, in a temple buried long before he was born. Researchers began to suspect the temple wasn't merely ancient, it was alive. Electronic equipment malfunctioned near its walls. Compasses spun wildly, and at 3:12 every morning, radio devices would pick up a faint signal. A repeating Morse code pattern. "We are still here. We are still here." The signal matched a frequency once used by the U.S. 42nd Recon Battalion in 1969. That unit had gone missing after reporting anomalous lights during a jungle patrol. Satellite imagery revealed faint heat signatures beneath the temple, as if something below was still active. A joint US-Lao research team was formed to investigate. They brought scanners, sensors, and a small security unit. But the locals refused to go near the temple after sunset. Old monks warned that place was never meant for the living. The wars of men have awakened the wars of gods. On August 19, 1998, the team entered the lower chambers. The tunnels were carved into solid rock, descending in spirals, each step echoing like a heartbeat. Halfway down, the air temperature dropped suddenly. Flashlights dimmed, and from the walls came the faint metallic click-click sound of distant rifles. Then, a voice, faint but unmistakable, came through the team's radio. "Echo unit, report your position. Enemy in sight." The transmission was traced to a call sign registered to Lieutenant Harold Beckett, dead since 1969. When the lead archaeologist reached the final chamber, she found an altar surrounded by helmets, American, Vietnamese, and ancient bronze. All arranged in perfect symmetry. And in the center, a pool of black water, still, reflective, cold as death. When one of the soldiers touched it, he screamed, and for a moment, they saw reflections of soldiers in both modern and ancient armor, standing side by side in that water. The team evacuated. Only half made it out. Their logs ended abruptly with one final note: "The walls are whispering the names. The dead are marching again." The Lao government sealed the area and declared it a no-entry zone. Officially, it was due to land instability. Unofficially, it was because the jungle around the temple began to change. At night, villagers claimed to hear drums echoing through the mist. Ancient war drums, followed by the sound of helicopters. Sometimes both, overlapping, like two time periods colliding. A few witnesses reported seeing soldiers in different uniforms walking side by side, silent, expressionless, vanishing as soon as they were spotted. In 2003, a satellite pass over the area captured something shocking. The outline of the temple had expanded. New walls had appeared where there were none before. It was as if the temple itself was rebuilding, continuing the war it was built to contain. Historians later theorized that the site might have been an ancient battleground nexus, where thousands of deaths across centuries had merged into one eternal echo. But for those who believe the truth runs deeper, they say the temple is a scar between worlds. A place where every soul lost in battle, Khmer, American, Lao, Vietnamese, still fights the same war, over and over, refusing to fade. Because the past doesn't die where blood still remembers. And deep in the jungles of Laos, the temple of the forgotten war still hums beneath the ground, its stones trembling, as if waiting for the next army to come.